Do you remember when you were still in kindergarten? Can you recall the goals during those times? The plan is to advance to the next level, the first grade. Then this will continue up until high school. That's when pressure kicks in to not only make good grades, but do well on the ACT or SAT to get into your dream college. And then you go to college wherein you go in step by step until you either go to the real world or a professional school. Then there you go, putting in all the hard work for success in a career you've always dreamed of, waiting for your success to come until one day you'll feel cheated because you're only growing old and you feel like you're stuck in the same place for years. You want to know why? That is because of the rat race. Welcome to Luxette, your go-to channel for all things luxury and finance. Wondering what the rat race is? This is something that school didn't teach us and we wish that they did. Perhaps if school taught us how to perceive money correctly, we'd be able to figure out quickly what this is all about and how to exactly escape it. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines rat race as the unpleasant life of people who have a current job that requires them to work very hard to compete with others for money, power, and status. It is a cutthroat fight that makes you work year by year, and yet you feel like you're not going anywhere. But what is the actual rat race? The actual rat race is an individual living on the financial edge, working a day job, and about to become broke. This person feels as though the moment money enters their life, it immediately disappears. Let's take a closer look, shall we? In 2003, professional boxer and heavyweight champion Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy with $30 million in debt, despite accumulating over $300 million during his career. That raises a question about money itself, because plenty of our actions or reinforcements in life have a fundamental desire or need to acquire it. But what's the point in developing it if the significant issue seems to be with our ability to manage it? Did you know that Americans now have the highest credit card debt in history? Debt is an invisible burden carried by the country's most vulnerable. Of course, these numbers are reflective of the UK and the US, but consider for a moment your attitude towards money and how money exists in your own life. What is money to you? Does it seem to enter your life and immediately leave once you have it? Has it ever placed you in a vulnerable position? The way we see money is sometimes more important than our ability to generate it, especially when our brains are made in ways that inhibit us from being practical. Does it matter if you're earning more than 6 figures a year if, by the end of that year, you have nothing left of it? Where did we go wrong? It is time to take a closer inspection to create a better structure for understanding money. A structure that is typically taught in personal finance but frequently missed in formal education. Money is usually defined as an instrument of exchange. This instrument facilitates the sale, purchase, or trade of goods between parties. But this is not just what money represents. A better way of looking at money is an expression of value. You give a certain amount of money to buy something because you see its worth is equivalent to the amount of money that you hand it over. Of course, the price is often not determined by you as an individual, but the market as a whole. So, money equals value. Total amount values produced equal the total amount of money that comes into your hand. Considering those values were not given for free, but you sold values for a specific price. So when you need money, always ask yourself, what value must I create to generate that money? Understanding that money is simply a value and an instrument of exchanging values is the most overlooked concept nowadays. Money opens your options and increases the range of your knowledge. So now that you know that money is an expression of value, how does this change the reality of a person living paycheck to paycheck or consumed by credit card debt? What do you think is actionable advice? The negative imbalance of your production versus your consumption. Try to evaluate yourself. What is your relationship with money? Does money just come and go? This is a relationship that is often expressed by your income and expenses. Another practical way of expressing this is your production versus your consumption. For the most part, money will enter your life because you have produced some form of value. And for most of us, this value will come in the form of labor. The money from your job will leave your pocket once you have consumed something, like a Netflix subscription, a new car, or a house. Think about all the money that has entered your life and left. How much of that do you still have in possession today or invested into some asset? Now, you could argue that someone earning 6 figures a year may still like to make more. But when you are paid a figure that is well above the average wage and the cost of living, and yet you still somehow find a way to spend it, then I'd argue that your habits with consuming must be secured before you even focus on generating money. As any wealthy celebrity who has filed for bankruptcy can show us, generating money means nothing when you have a problem with consumption. Now, the next question would be, how can I remove myself from the rat race? Tracking your consumption behavior. The first step in personal finance will create awareness of your relationship with money. This is often done by writing your monthly expenses and categorizing them as housing, transportation, food, utilities, entertainment, and so on. But why don't most people want to investigate their consumption behavior? Have you ever heard of the ostrich effect? We tend to want to avoid a piece of negative financial information. It's that feeling you get when you refuse to look at your bank account after indulging in shopping over a sale, fearing what it might show. And yet, once you pass this stage, it's time for you to take control over your behavior as a consumer. This is when you try to budget, deciding each month how much you aim to spend on each of these categories and sticking to it. It's about looking at what to consume in a systematic order and finding ways to reduce these things to live below your means. In other words, having a lifestyle that still leaves you with enough money to save and invest in some form. Hyperbolic discounting. This is our inclination to choose immediate rewards over rewards that come later in the future, even when these immediate rewards are smaller. An example is when you choose to purchase a new bag instead of saving that money towards future investment. Let's go to the production side, the ability to make money. Now let us make a balance here. We know you may end up hurting yourself if your only priority is saving without producing. What if you're great at saving while at the same time the amount of your income per month continues to drop? Will your saving behavior keep you safe? It's easier to minimize your expenses and the amount you consume than to increase your income. We see that there are other communities built up around focusing on frugality. The FIRE community is one example of this, a movement that adopts living extremely frugally. People like Graham Stephan or Dave Ramsey promote strategies that fall into the series of living frugally, saving a lot of money, and investing in the long run. But let's be honest, these two people do not rely on these strategies. These people are making use of production at a mass scale. So to summarize, it's first essential to bring awareness to yourself as a consumer, taking a closer look and an inspection to your purchasing habits by writing them down, then creating a budget for you to control the expenses. Generating money then becomes a matter of increasing the amount of value you can bring into society through productions like a job, a business, and so on. This is a structure that will help you immensely and many others who have an interest in making money. And this is not only how you escape the rat race, but also help you feel fulfilled in life finally. There are many ways to increase your production of money, and we have videos meant for that. Just go ahead and browse through our channel. And while you're at it, click the subscribe button and hit the notification icon so you won't miss out on our videos like this. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up.